This Kisavo starts off with the mitzvah of bringing the bikurim, first fruits that are, some people think it's a farmer. You know, a farmer has a field somewhere up north in the Golan, so he has to go ahead and bring his fruits. But it's not true. You could be a businessman in Yerushalayim that has a couple trees in your backyard just for show and it grows fruits, and then you have to bring the first fruits. You got to go ahead and bring it. And when you bring it, you have to read a whole parsha, Kriyas HaBikurim. It's all about Hakar Satov, gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for everything that we have. That's the whole mitzvah of Bikurim, that you're bringing the first. You're saying, look, Hashem, it's all for you. The gratitude to Hashem. Now, the character trait of gratitude is very important when it comes to Elul. Rav Yisrael Salanter, the founder of the Musar movement, all his shmuzim that he used to have, he used to start off all his shmuzim during the month of Elul with Yira, fear God, intense, gotta fear Him, can't sin, gotta do tshuva. And it would wake everyone up, people would start crying, get people going. His student, Yitzchak Blazer, not talking about now 10 generations later, direct student, meaning the next level down, right? Next generation. His Musar shmuzim were not like that. His Musar all about, we gotta love Hashem, we have to appreciate Hashem, and through that we're going to do tshuva. More on a positive note. So they asked him, they said, you're going against your Rebbe. The Rebbe, his way, his method was fear. And here you're going ahead and you're doing it totally different. Through love, through gratitude, he said, look, the Rebbe Yisrael Salanter, he was perfect in this area. He was able to go ahead and through the means of fear, connect and do tshuva and bring tshuva. We're not on this level. We're not. That's not for us. That's not how we connect. And therefore, we have to try to focus more on our ava, on our love of Hashem, on our appreciation of Hashem, on our gratitude for all the different things that we have for Hashem. That is going to be the way that we're going to be able to connect and do tshuva in the greatest way. In fact, the Baal HaTurim writes in next week's parsha, Parshas Nitzavim, that the pasuk says, we say it now every day during Elul, David HaMelech says, Lulei ha'emanti liros b'tuv Hashem. If it wasn't for the fact that I believed and I saw the Tuv Hashem, the greatness of Hashem, and the letters Lulei, Lamed Vav, Lamed Aleph, the Baal HaTurim writes, are the same letters as Elul. Because David HaMelech, look, if you read the Navi, none of us would have expected David HaMelech to ever be alive. One person after the next just wanted to kill him and get him to, rid himself from the kingdom, and everyone was against. He had enemies all the time, right? The whole Stephen Tillman was about davening for all his enemies, tons of enemies, and he just kept them making it through. So how did he do it? He had such a tough life. Everyone's against him. Everyone's running after him. Everyone wants to kill him. And how do you stay sane, right? Lulei ha'emanti liros b'tuv Hashem. If it wasn't for the fact that even when everything was so difficult, despite all the challenges, despite everything going against him, but he saw the Tuv Hashem. He was able to see through the thick forest and always able to see the good and able to appreciate Hashem. That is what allowed David HaMelech to go ahead and continue. And that's the Osios Elul, because that's what in Elul we're supposed to strengthen. We always have to have gratitude, we always have to appreciate Hashem. But specifically in the month of Elul is a time when we want to try to do tshuva, we want to become better. The best way to do that is to appreciate everything that we have from Hashem. And then automatically, what am I, nuts? How can I go ahead and do this, do that, or why aren't they doing this? Why are you speaking this way? Why am I acting this way? It's through the love and appreciation that allows us to go ahead and advance forward in a very, very significant way. Now the mitzvah Bikurim. Mitzvah Bikurim was coming right away. The first thing we do, we start off, we went ahead and we give gratitude. And there's a lesson in gratitude. The halacha is that, let's say I don't bring the bikurim myself, but I send it with someone else. I send it with a shliach. So the halacha is that the shliach, he doesn't go ahead and read the parsha of bikurim. He doesn't read it. So some explain because gratitude has to be done by yourself. You can't go ahead and send a messenger to go ahead and do the gratitude for you. There's a famous story that Rav Yashiv was a Torah giant of the last generation, and he was way, I think, in his 90s. And had to have a very, very serious surgery. And they flew, the doctor's name is Dr. Claire, a famous physician in the Cleveland Clinic. They flew him to Israel to operate on Rav Yashiv. Now, Dr. Claire is not Jewish. But he said it was a tremendous merit for him, this leading scholar, this saintly individual, to go ahead and operate it, even though he probably makes tens of thousands of dollars or more a day. He took a whole week off to fly to Israel to operate on this rabbi. Okay, and thank God the surgery was successful. And then after the surgery, when Rabbi Yashiv woke up, so the whole time he was talking to the doctor with an interpreter. Rabbi Yashiv was speaking Yiddish, and the interpreter would say the English, whatever was needed to the doctor. So he asked the interpreter, he said, "Can you teach me how to say thank you in English?" So it took a little bit of time. Rabbi Yashiv didn't know English, but he taught him how to say thank you. I guess it's not so hard to learn how to say it. But and then he told the doctor, Dr. Claire said thank you. So after the doctor left, they asked him, he said, "Why don't you just say a donk, and I'll go ahead and I'll tell him thank you. Why did you have to?" So he said, when it comes to giving gratitude, you can't do it through someone else. You have to do it by yourself. That's an important thing. And when a person recognizes that, everyone has challenges, everyone has difficulties in life. We always think that the ones that we have are harder than everyone else. But everyone has it, and everyone has it harder than everyone else. So to go around like that in a circle, okay? We're all in the same boat. But if we could appreciate the good that we have, if we think about the good that we have, that will always help us get past anything and move forward and be Matzliach. It's something we have to strengthen in a significant way over the course of Elul specifically, but it's life-changing if you do it forever. Tell you a story. Okay, I don't have that many stories in Yeshiva Torah, but there was once a guy that popped into Yeshiva Torah. I remember my seat used to be back over there, and the guy wanted to speak to me. He just sat down, and he was wearing a tie, very proper, wearing a tie. Everything was like a suit. Came to speak to me. He said he was getting his doctorate in Oxford, and about education and how it impacts people, etc. And he wanted to know if it would be okay if 6 months from now he's planning on coming to Israel, if he can hang around the yeshiva a little bit and learn about the way of Jewish education and the tradition and what it means and how it impacts people and what's the style? What's the style of the education? So I was trying to something sounded a little fishy. There's this hunch, when you feel something a little bit. I said, well, you want to move to the dorms? That was my first question. Exactly, what do you want from here? I said, a lot of yeshivas out there. Well, why don't you go to different yeshiva? Well, I went to a different yeshiva, they weren't so interested. I'm like, I got to figure this out. So I started probing and asking more questions and more questions. So finally, the whole conversation was 5 minutes. Okay? It wasn't like 5 minutes. Finally, I realized the person's not Jewish at all. Okay, and he's a scholar from England that is writing this thesis, and he needs to kind of like join yeshiva to really know what's going on. They didn't really think he was going to come back. I'm like, okay, when you come back to Israel, we'll talk again. Okay, that was it. It was a 5-minute conversation. Basically, just said goodbye. That's all. A couple weeks later, I get my first and only, this is 2014, email with a wax stamp, wax emblem on the back. Never in my life got one of these. I don't know if anyone here ever has. I keep this in my drawer because it meant so much to me. And I'm like, what in this world? Rabbi David Rossman, Director, Intermediate Beis Midrash Program. That was a program that used to exist here, for those of you who don't know. You got it. Okay. Anyway, December 10th, 2014. Dear Rabbi Rossman, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for making the time to meet with me last week. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I want you to know that I am honored to have the chance to study the sacred teaching and learning at Aish Torah in the future. In the meantime, I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Dr. Isaac, you got the last name. Okay. Now, literally met the guy for I totally forgot about it, 5 minutes, and I get the most impressive letter that I got in my entire life for giving me 5 minutes of his time. So I keep it by me, it's a chizuk for me. Because how much things do we get? A lot more than, I didn't get anything by the way. By the way, I had no intention of him coming back. He ended up coming back for many, many, many months.
he was in the shiur. He went to weddings. He was like blown away. It was like he wrote his thesis. He sent it to me. It was fascinating. But it was a tremendous Kiddush Hashem, absolutely on the highest level. This guy was great. But you always wonder like what they think. As he came in here, he was taking notes. Like he was a bigger master than anyone in yeshiva. It was very important. But anyway, like I did this with you because it helped me remember. Like wow, 5 minutes of nothing. I didn't give him advice and anything, nothing. And you get a very chashuv email, letter, not even a letter, direct letter with a special stamp. It's an important thing. There's no end to the level of gratitude that we could ever give to someone. So we're just so numb to it because we get so much of it, so we don't pay attention to these little things. We don't appreciate it. Okay, I want to highlight one more thing, and that's from later on in the parsha. The pasuk says, the sixth aliyah of this week's parsha, listen closely to the laning this week, are all the curses, a lot of curses. The Baal Korah is supposed to lane it on a low, with maybe faster pace. It's all these different curses. And the pasuk says, after all these curses, Tachas asher lo avarta es Hashem elokecha b'simcha u'b'chuv leivav mirov kol. The reason that you get these things is because you didn't serve Hashem with simcha, with joy. And mirov kol. Ambiguous 2 words. If you live with simcha, if you live with joy, you don't have all these troubles. Listen to this Meshech Chachma, the Meir Simcha Midifetz. I'm going to read it inside. It's so powerful. What does it mean? He says, Nerov Kol, quotes a Gemara, that refers to knowledge. The knowledge that we have. And he says, Yitachin l'kmod ben Zoma, the Gemara in Brachos Daf Min Ches. Kama yigios yaga Adam HaRishon achamat matzah pas lechel. Adam HaRishon, he didn't have a bakery. So how much work did he have to do until he actually was able to produce a loaf of bread? Charash, you have to plow, zara, the katzar, the amr, the whole winnowing process, everything. The dash, the zara, the beer, the tachan, the you have to grind, all the different pieces in order to make bread. The lash, to knead it, the afet, to bake it, and then you got to eat it. Vani and I. Mashkin, I wake up in the morning, I go downstairs, and there's a loaf of bread there. Wow! Other Marisha had to go ahead and do the whole thing, and I just get, nothing. The Kama Yikios Adam Marisha on Shematz Begi Lubos, to get a piece of clothing with the heel of the shoes. Okay, we'll get to that anyway. Gazas the Lavan, the Nafas, the Kav of the Arab. He had to go ahead and he had to do everything with the leather, and finally he had to sew it, he had the clothing. And I just wake up and go ahead and I have clothing. Whoever thinks about that? So too, a person has to always think about the chesed of Hashem on the completion, the shleimus of his seichel, of his intellect. Asher kami yigios yaga v'chakios v'nisyonos amal Avram Avinu. Actually, it's boni l'harchek agaluim. There were people, our ancestors, that they worshipped Avodah Zarah, and how many people had to do a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of thinking to be able to discover Hashem that now maybe we take it for granted. And after it was found that our forefathers had to work very hard to keep it that way. How about in Egypt? That they had to work so hard in order to get to a level that they could accept the Torah. The amazing Torah that they got, that through the learning of the Torah we could go ahead and connect to Hashem. How much work had to go into it? We got the Torah, but how much had to work before that to even get there? That we can connect to God, the one and only. And all that hard work, I just now can get it easily. Anyone with a heart. You have to think about and praise Hashem for all the amazing things that we have. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it to a little bit more modern day. Okay, you open an art school Gemara, okay, and you're reading the Gemara. Now, how much work went into putting an art school Gemara? generations upon generations upon generations of clarity of a Gemara, with your Mefarshim, right? You read the notes on the bottom, and it's quoting this, and it's quoting that. How many generations of clarifying Gemaras, with all these Rishonim and Achronim and Kitzur of Svarim and English Svarim, layers and layers and layers that we can just open up with our feet up and cross and read it like, wow. It's an amazing thing. It's amazing. How often do we sit back and say, that is unbelievable, Hashem, that is unbelievable. How much time and effort and money and resources have been invested for my ability to get 1 ounce of Chachma? How often do we think about that? Rarely. We have teachers. Everyone has teachers. I have teachers. Everyone has teachers. How much work did those teachers have to go ahead in order to get something clear so that they could give it over to us? And how much did they have to get from their teachers and their teachers? It's an unbelievable thing. It's unbelievable. We're at the end of a very long chain of mega investment that we're just reaping the benefits from. It's amazing. You know, a person has to work on a midah now. He has a certain character trait, anger, let's say. Okay, which book would you like to open so you can read about that? Even secular books. There's so much, whatever you want. You can go ahead and get it. How'd that happen? Years and years and generations of investment that we are just simply able to open it up and get it. And then when we have that chacham, when we have that piece of knowledge, we should have an enormous amount of gratitude for not just that, oh, I understood it. Thank you, Hashem. It's for all that went into the ability for me to go ahead and get it. That's when he says, that's the tachas, Meirov kol. We have everything. There's so much. We have so much knowledge that we have to be besimcha about it. Okay, now all the positive psychology, everyone, you look it up, every single person is going to tell you, the more gratitude you have, the more happy you are, fine. That's what it says over here. The simcha, the simcha, what's the simcha from? Meirov kol, from just recognizing that you have kol, that it's all there. Now what does kol mean? It doesn't just mean that on my phone I can get anything. It means that so much of the information from everything from all the way back was all building up in order for me to go ahead and what I have right now. And that applies to all the brachos we have in our life. Money, clothing, anything. Anything that we have is based on lots and lots of investment from Dori Doros and generation to generation.